Okay, let's see how this is working. Good evening once more, everybody. Welcome again to TouchTone Tuesday. I am your host and facilitator, Dr. Sherry Dark-Goudeau. We've had some technical issues this afternoon. It just may be in the airways, guys. So if it's still freezing and dragging, just hang on to my voice or go to my YouTube channel at Dr. Sherry Dark-Goudeau, where it is being aired live as well. So we want to go ahead and get right into the word. We have already opened up with devotion. This is a great day. It is March 15th. I've got to tell you, I'm celebrating my dad, who is on the other side. So a happy heavenly birthday to my dad, who would be 82 on today. Oh my goodness, and how he would be celebrating. I'm telling you, it would have been a wild one, guys. And so we're also celebrating my sister-in-law's birthday. That is Miss Melanie Williams. So a happy birthday to her. Of course, my match day baby. That is the day that I matched with my specialty in medicine. And this young lady was born on that day. Her name is Shanissa, so she's celebrating a 27. That's how I keep up with how long I've been a physician, guys. Let me tell you, it's a little girl who now has a baby boy, by the way. And then our great neighbor, of course, Miss Linda Pellerin, who watches out for everything where we live. So we want to give her a happy, happy birthday shout out as well. And to all of you, thanks so much for joining us, for hanging in here with us through all the technical issues. We thank you guys so much for joining in today. We don't take it lightly that you would be here and spend a few moments with us. Happy International Women's Month to all of the sisters who just make it happen day in and day out. That's the moms, the non-moms, the career ladies, the non-career ladies, the ladies who are doing it, the ladies who support their men as they're doing it. All of the sisters, we say hats off to you guys for doing an amazing job. So celebrating all of you on today as well. And then, of course, we're getting ready to go into our segment, but I hope you guys were able to see our Tell Your Story on last week with Apostle Dr. Cherie Dangerfield. It was a phenomenal time just to visit with her, to hear her story. Go back and get that. I'm telling you guys, history is happening with women right now, and she is certainly a history maker. So go back and get that one on that page. And so let's go ahead and get into our story. I told you guys this is so good, you don't want to miss it. Let's jump right into the scripture on today as we thank God for getting us back here. And it goes like this in Ruth, the second chapter, verses 1 through 2 and 10 through 12. Guys, we did a devotional thing on this last week. I thought I was done with it, but you know how he does. He turns that thing and said, come on back with it. So here we are. The verse says it like this in the NIV, but whatever version you have, it's the word of God. It says, now Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, a man standing from the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I find favor. Verse 10. At this, she bowed down with her face to the ground. She asked him, why? Why have I found such favor in your eyes that you notice me, a foreigner? This is Ruth talking to Boaz. Somehow we forget our decrees because in verse 2, she made a decree that she was going to go and find some grain behind anyone whose eyes she found favor. Looks like she found favor, guys, or maybe favor found her. Boaz replied, I've been told all about what you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother and your homeland and came to live with a people you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. For a few moments, we just want to share this one with you. When favor finds you, hit somebody in the chat somewhere and tell them, you better come on in this room. You got to get this one. When favor finds you. And so as I'm looking at this and hearing all the things that came back from last week, and certainly the Spirit of the Lord speaking one more time this morning, he began to build on that thing. And he said, sometimes when we say the word favor, we don't even really know what we're saying. And so he began to share with me something called the neat and the nasty of favor. You see, there's a neat side of favor for which we all like to yell about. You know, when the promotion comes, when we get the raise, when the check comes in the mail just at the right time, when you see them come off the ventilator, thank God, especially in this season of COVID, and we say, oh my God, thank you for the blessing of favor. But somebody doesn't really want to talk about or perhaps even know about the nasty side of favor, why you got sick in the first place, why it is that you found yourself in lack one more time, why it is that you were in debt, why it is that you were overlooked one more time for that particular position. See, we don't like to talk about that side of favor, but it is still favor. And here Ruth is found in the nasty and the neat of favor. Let's go ahead and go on in the room. I told you, hit somebody in the chat. They don't want to miss this particular thing. So Ruth, the Moabite, comes in on the nasty side of favor. Yeah, it was the nasty side, guys. She's under a curse because of who she has come from. That is the Moabite people. They're under a curse because they didn't extend help to their brothers as they came into the promised land. That is the Israelites. And so they were under a curse down to the 10th generation. Truth be known, Ruth should not even be named, let alone remembered because of that. But y'all, she's on the nasty side of favor. And tell somebody, even if it's nasty and it's that side of favor, it still is favor. Not only was she under a curse, but Ruth is also a youthful widow. Yeah, she's married a guy from the household of bread, but his name, Mahlon, as you go through the chapters all the way through, means sick. She married a sick man, y'all. It's one thing to marry a man, but then to marry a sick man, he probably wasn't able to do a whole lot of good. But yet she had a man, she had a husband. I'm still talking about the nasty side of favor. See, sometimes we want to talk about what we have, and sometimes images, that is pictures of what you think is going on, is not really what's happening. They're dealing with the nasty side of favor. I know Facebook can give you some images. I understand that Instagram can take your eyesight to a whole nother level. I still understand that sometimes that Snapchat that you send somewhere else is telling somebody a different story. But if truth be known, you're dealing with the nasty side of favor. He was a sick man. That means she had to take care of him more than he was taking care of her. That means that she was providing perhaps for him more than he was providing for her. But guess what, y'all? He was still called a husband. It's the nasty side of favor, but yet it's still favor. Let's go on in the room. I told you, you don't want to miss this particular thing. Not only was she dealing with a sick husband who eventually died and left her a youthful widow in the Moabite land, which is a cursed land, but now she makes a decision to leave with her mother-in-law to enter a strange land, that is with an old widow, because Naomi, her mother-in-law, her husband has passed away too. That is Elimelech. And they're now both headed back to Bethlehem, Judah, with no money. It sounds like it's the nasty side of favor. I doubt if anybody would even say that Ruth had favor in this situation. See, this is when we start to look at people cross-eyed. This is when we start to look at people a little bit side-eyed. I don't really believe that they are who they say they are. You can't be a Christian and going through this much hell. You can't be a believer, and every Sunday I see you shouting and running around the church, but you're dealing with all of this. It doesn't look like you're a favored person or from a favored generation. But just stay with the book right now, because see, our God likes to make sure that the odds are stacked against him. Oh, he's that kind of God that if I'm going to work something in your favor, everybody has to know that you couldn't do it yourself, that you had to depend on me, the God of all ages. That is the Ancient of Days. That is the one that is high and lifted up. That is the one that is omnipotent. See, he's all powerful. He's omniscient. He knows all about your situation before you open your mouth. And yes, he's omnipresent, even in the nasty side of favor. Let's go on into the book right now, because I think I've got somebody who's in the house with it. And if you've been on the nasty side of favor, or perhaps you're on the nasty side now, just go ahead and hit me one time in the chat and say, Lord, that's me. It must be me because I understand that the book says I'm favored just because I know who you are and just because I know whose I am. I've got favor on me, but it must be the nasty side of favor. But what I'm going to do is stand in what you said I am, not in what I'm seeing, but I'm going to stand in one word that is favor. Oh, let's go ahead and go on in the room because I think I got a little bit of help right now. And see, Ruth was on that side of favor, the nasty side, but the neat side was coming. Why was it coming? Because she made a decree and a declaration that she was going to come out of where she was. She was not going to stay in Moab, where it was a cursed land. She was not going to sulk and cry in her youthful widowhood. She was going to get up and make a move. And she was not even going to look at Naomi's situation. What she had seen in Naomi is that favor must rest on her. There's something about this old lady that keeps talking about the house of bread. There's something about this old widow that keeps calling on God in the midnight hour. There is something about this old lady that keeps talking about the God who provides. And that's where she's going. So guess what? I'm going to connect with her because over here, I hadn't heard anybody talk about any God other than this curse that we're under. I hadn't heard anybody call on their God in the midnight hour, but I hear Naomi calling on hers, and somehow her tears are dried up. Oh my God, I think I feel a little help coming on. You ever dry your tears at midnight when you got everything to cry about? But somehow his handkerchief of love finds you in your darkest hour and says, it's going to be all right, kid, because you're favored, you're mine. Let's keep walking down this book of Ruth, because I told you I still feel my help coming in here when favor finds you. And so she makes a declaration, a decree that wherever Naomi goes, I'm going. That's what she says. And this is what she found according to the book. You see, because once you leave a cursed land, headed to the house of bread, youthful and beautiful enough to catch the eye of your kinsman redeemer, because see, that's what's on the other side of the nasty. There's something called the neat. Then you get connected to the one who knows God, old or not, you're headed to the neat side of favor. And this is what she found in chapter 2, the neat side of favor. I just had to level the playing field for you a little bit because sometimes we're crying about the nasty of favor instead of focusing on the fact that we have favor even at all to begin with. And so here she walks into chapter 2. And this is what she says in verse 2, that I am going to pick up the leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I found favor. And see, she makes a decree that somebody's going to find favor in me. And guess what? Favor's going to find me. And the first thing we notice in verse 10, and excuse me, in verse 12, as we come on down into the book, it says that Boaz, once he finds her, and Ruth bows down to the ground in verse 10 and says, why have you found favor? Boaz begins to tell her her own story. Can it be that sometimes you don't really know how bad you are, sisters and brothers, until somebody tells you how bad you really are in God? Boaz has to give her her own history lesson about who she is. He says, you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. You have left your father, your mother, your homeland, and come to live with a people you didn't even know before. Girl, do you know how much resilience that takes? Do you understand what your perseverance and your determination must look like? Have you even stood back and stood in the mirror long enough and say, you must be a bad sister to come through all of this hell on the nasty side of favor and still be here to bless God and then bless someone else as you're going through? Take a look around at yourself and say, I'm still going through, but I'm still a blessing to somebody else who's going through. I must be a bad sister. I must be a bad brother in God. I must have found favor with the God that I love. Let's go on in and see what happens when favor finds her. The first thing thing that Boaz says in verse 12 is, may the Lord repay you for what you've done. So the first thing that Ruth finds is repayment for her story. That is the story that he just gave her, who you have helped along the way when you needed help yourself. He gives her an account of the past events in her life, the evolution in which God is evolving her to be in the history books. You see, I feel that thing, y'all. I got to hurry up and get out of here, but I feel that thing, y'all. You see, there's an evolution going on in us when the enemy tries to create a revolution. Oh, you better put that somewhere. There's an evolution going on in us when the enemy tries to create a revolution against us. And what Boaz was telling her is, your story has an evolution in it, despite the revolution that the enemy tried to create against you. It's called repayment. And girl, you're about to be repaid in full, overflow, abundant to the excess for what you have given out. But not only do you have repayment, Ruth, this is what Boaz is saying to her, you've got a reward for your history. Yes, that chronological record of significant events, those that were affecting your nation, the institution of who you were called to be, that after this happens, it includes an explanation of their causes. You have left your father, your mother, your homeland, and come to live with a people you don't even know. You see, your history, it turns out to be his story. That's what it is. Your history, put it down somewhere, write it, put it in the chat. My history is his story. See, Ruth didn't even know that she was being written into the lineage of Jesus Christ. She didn't even know that at all. But it turns out her story, that is our history, is his story. You see, Jesus left heaven, came down 42 generations. I think that means he left his homeland, y'all. He left the angels who wait on him day and night. I think it means he left his homeland, y'all. He came through the barriers of 42 generations and broke through in what we now read as the New Testament in a little girl called Mary. And he walked into this earth realm, y'all, and changed history at the cross. Because they tell me that whatever was BC, that is before Christ, became AD, that is the Lord's year. Oh, I think our story, our history then is his story. And so Boaz is reminding Ruth right now that you don't even know what your future is, girl. Because of your history, it is now his story. And so there's a reward for that. You know, when you turn loose of some stuff that used to hold you down, that is some old relationships that didn't want you to go forward, that is an old work environment that never wanted to promote you, but you turn loose that thing and you trust God. That is when you turn loose of some things that hurt you to the core and say, I won't live in bitterness. I won't live in hatred. I won't live in unforgiveness. Oh, I won't have an attitude when that sister and brother walks in, because God must have more for me than I have behind me. Oh, let me talk to somebody. I got to slow down, y'all. Oh my gosh, I got to get up out of here. Look, there's a repayment for your story. There's a reward for your history, which is his story. But not only did Boaz say that, he said, girl, there's a refuge for your backstory. Oh, there's a backstory, y'all, to what you see before me. What is the backstory? This is the story that led up to the main story or the plot. This is when she said, let me go to the fields and pick up leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I find favor. And it set her up to have refuge in God. But if we really want to know the backstory for Ruth, we got to go back to verse 16 in chapter 1. This is where she made her declaration to one Naomi, when Naomi tried to get her to go back and say, look at here. You guys, if I get married tonight and have sons, are you going to wait until they get grown? Orpah, her daughter-in-law, began to cry. She hugged her and she went on her way. But Ruth dug in her heels. You see, you got to be able to separate those folks, those who cry from those who clean. Orpah was a crier, which meant she was getting ready to leave. But Ruth was a clinger, which means she getting ready to stay. And this is what Ruth said to Naomi, and I love it. She says, entreat me not to leave you, nor from following after you. You see, your God is going to be my God, and your people are going to be my people. And wherever you lodge, well, that's where I'm going to lodge. Wherever you go, that's where I'm going to go. And this is what's going to happen. Wherever you die, that's where I'm going to die. And wherever they bury you, that's where I'm going to bury you. Now, this is the end of that particular declaration. May God deal with me ever so severely if nothing but death separates you and me. And this is what Naomi did. Naomi realized she had a clinger and not a crier. She began to turn around. She shut her mouth. She didn't say another word. She just let Ruth come on with her. And Ruth begins to change the narrative of the Moabite people in one decision, in one declaration. And so she began to find refuge, not only in a new land, but refuge in Boaz, her kinsman redeemer. He would go on to claim her as his wife. As we go through this text in a few more weeks, she not only found refuge in Boaz, but she found refuge in fields of favor. Hit somebody and say, I got fields of favor all around me. I was on the nasty side, but now I'm on the neat side of favor. I'm no longer on the outside looking in, but I'm now on the inside reaching in. Ruth reached in and grabbed handfuls of purpose. That is, her destiny was sitting there in the fields of Boaz. It's no longer accidental or coincidental, but it's intentional favor. And what is favor, if I dare say? Let's give you a definition, because sometimes we're shouting and we don't know what we're shouting about. Favor is God stepping into our situation, making a worthwhile difference. That is God stepping into our situation and turning it to make a worthwhile difference. Then favor is the highway to destiny. Favor does not come at fair market value, but it markets the value of God in us. Let's say that one more time. Favor does not come at fair market value, but it markets the fairness of God's value in us. That is, I've got so much value in me. You've got so much value in you because God favored you. And the market changes when we walk into the room. Oh, help me right now. I want to get out of here, y'all, but I can't let this go. Favor is dependent upon God's good pleasure, often extended through prayer, through righteous living. That is restoration of God's people. And if God is able to do what the definition says, step into our situation and turn it to make a worthwhile difference, why can't we embrace who we are in Him? I'm reminded of 1997. In my life, y'all, I was on the nasty side of favor. I was living like hell and enjoying every step of it all the way. I had a dream several weeks prior to this particular incident that I'm about to share with you. I saw my name in the headlines or in the picture of a skull and crossbones, and there was fire behind it, and the first four letters were there of my name. I thought for sure God's gotten tired of me. He got sick of my attitude and the way I'm acting right now, and so He just gonna take me out. I woke up, y'all. I didn't even try to fight with God or argue my case. I just said, it's me. I kept on living like hell, y'all. You would think that I would turn around, but I didn't. One day I was driving from Baytown over to Spring Branch to go to work. Somewhere along that way where we hit the spaghetti bowl on I-10 and 610 and all those loops there, I began to see something that I thought had confused my eyes. I saw an 18-wheeler going across 4 lanes on I-10 with a backhoe. People were locking their brakes. Smoke was going everywhere. I looked at that and I thought, this must be the day. I didn't even argue with him. I reached over into my purse, grabbed my wallet, flipped it over where my ID would be showing, because I knew if they had to find me, somebody would have to identify me to my mother. So I wanted that open. I put my hand back on the steering wheel, hit the brakes with everything I had, and the entire vehicle locked. You know how it does. I couldn't turn that steering wheel for anything. I said one word, one phrase, Jesus, help me. You see, sometimes that's all it is. See, favor will bring some things back to your mind about who you really are. I don't care if you're on the nasty side of it. You'll know when to cry out to Him. And I said, Jesus, help me.
All I remember is a hand coming across one hand and another one coming across the other one. And that wheel that I couldn't turn began to turn. When the smoke cleared, and it was a white smoke, y'all, I was about 18 inches from a concrete barricade in that old 1996 Jeep. I was about another 2 feet away from a Camaro, teal in color, which was parallel to that 18-wheeler with that backhoe. When I looked to my left, there were cars in all four lanes, and it looked like somebody had drawn a chalk line across it. Every driver had their hands on the wheels and looking up, and I saw a white smoke go up. I knew then an angel had come to assist me, that somehow favor had still found me, even on the nasty side. You see, in that situation, God turned a steering wheel. Oh, help me today, God, that I could not turn. You see, favor stepped into a situation that I could do nothing about and turned a steering wheel to make a worthwhile difference. Why did he do that? Because I still needed to make an impact in somebody's life. I still needed to influence somebody's life for the glory of God. I still needed to leave an impression in this earth realm about who God is and who he is in me. He's salt and light. I'm still salting situations as I walk in. I'm still bringing forth the light of Christ as I walk in. Who then? Who then? When do we see him turning into our favor? When we live a righteous life. That wasn't me. Maybe it's you, but it is some folks in the Bible. Noah and Moses and Joseph and even Mary found favor with Jesus. That's it with the Lord. That's why Jesus came in through Mary, because she had found favor in her God. In fact, the angel said, Mary, hail, hail, blessed and highly favored are you. There was some righteous living going on, y'all, in response to to a prayer. That's when we find favor. That's when we see God stepping into a situation and turning what we can't turn when we cry out to him, like that voice that said, Jesus, help me. Moses did it. He sought the favor of God. Jehoaz did it. He sought the Lord's favor, and he was on the nasty side, y'all. Manasseh was on the nasty side, but God humbled him, and he found favor because he sought favor. He began to pray, and when God wants to restore his people, there is nothing you can do to stop God from restoring that he says he will restore. So when God says, I'm going to restore you from sickness to health, you can't stop him. He'll step in with favor and turn the situation, turn the doctor's report, turn the cancer report, turn the HIV report, turn the diabetic report, turn the dialysis report, turn that ventilator situation and bring about health. When God says, I'm going to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, as he did in Luke 4:19, he'll start setting captives free. They'll start going back and finding out that the CSI kid didn't have the DNA evidence that they thought. And jailhouse doors begin to open. Prison sentences are overturned. People start walking out in the freedom of who God is. People who have been addicted for 27, 37, 40 years on crack cocaine, on alcoholism, on womanizing, on whoremongering, on adultery, can't seem to get your life right at all to save your life. God says, I'm going to restore you because it's favor that's on you, baby. And I don't care if you're on the nasty side of it. You're about to come on the neat side of that thing. And then he begins to turn it into the ultimate gift of God's favor, which is Jesus himself. And he says, I like what 2 Corinthians 6:2 says. Somebody better put this down somewhere. 2 Corinthians 6:2 says it like this: in the time of my favor, I heard you. And in the day of salvation, I helped you. I tell you, now is the time of God's favor. Now is the day of salvation. And somebody better put in this chat box, now is my time of favor. I ain't waiting till tomorrow. I thank God for a preaching sister of ours, Minister Shante. I don't care when you see her. She says now. Now. We ain't waiting on later. Now God is, because in eternity, it's always now. And if you talk to her long enough and get to know her, she said, if you turn now around, it means won. We've already won in the situation because favor rests on us. I'm out, y'all. I'm 8 minutes over, but I couldn't let that thing go. I couldn't let it go because God has found favor in you. And it doesn't matter if you're on the nasty or the neat side. Tell somebody, now is the time of my favor. And somebody hit me in that chat box one time and turn that now around and spell one for me. Because I want you to make a declaration right now before God that I've already won. I may be on the nasty side, but I got the dove over here in my column and not in yours. I may be just starting on the neat side of that thing, but I've got the dove over here in my column and not on yours. I may still be on a dialysis machine, but guess what, baby? The dove is in my column right now. Yeah, they may have given me that report and say you got less than 6 weeks, but the dove is still in my column right now. Yeah, I am going through heartbreak. I'm going through a divorce right now. I'm going through a broken relationship. Y'all, I'm trying right now, but I'm trying to help somebody. I don't know who I'm talking to, but the dove is in your column. Yeah, that's what it is. I don't care what it looks like. Yeah, it looks like addiction is winning. It looks like it's tearing up your family, your children and your children's children. Yeah, it looks like we're going to still be on welfare and Section 8 housing for the rest our lives. Oh, but the devil is a lie. You've got abundance in favor. You've got overflow in favor. You've got more than enough in favor. You've got excess. You've got exceedingly abundantly above all you've asked or ever thought about, because that's who he is. And that's what he put in you, his favor to step into a situation. And God says, go ahead and stack the odds against my kids. Go ahead and stack the odds against my children. Go ahead. I'm going to let you do all you think you might be able to do, because I want it stacked so against them and so against me that when I step in and turn it, you know, in my words, nobody did this but God. Favor ain't fair, baby. I don't care which side of it you're on, as Bishop Jakes reminds us, but that's what we have. And when favor finds you, you get a repayment, a reward, and refuge. It's all in Ruth. Read the book, y'all. I love you guys to life. Have an amazing day on today. I see you guys hitting us up. We're just going to hit a few of you right now. Thank you guys so much for hanging in here with me. This is a word that's hot off the press. I don't know if I'll have to deliver it again, but I'm telling you, this is the season of favor. I see you there, my cousin. Love you so much. I see you there. Hey, Michelle, love you guys to live. So good to see you all. Oh, my goodness. I see you there, my cousin, Phyllis. I see, hey, Dr. Gilmore, you know I can't miss you, sister. I love you. You know you need to holler at us, too. This is a woman here, mighty preaching woman, y'all. I'm telling you, when she hit the books, y'all better know, and fights for our kids. She's retired now, but don't think she's still not in that prayer room. Y'all pray for Dr. Gilmore, and I call her Dr. Gilmore because that's who she is to me. I see you there. Yes, yes, yes. Minister Deborah Edwards, my preaching sister. I see you there. Oh, my goodness. So many of you all. I don't want to miss you, but if I do, yeah, my cousin Kimmy, love you. Thank you for that, Kimmy. Already won. My cousin Tanya, love you to life. See you there. That's right. Big capital letters. We've already won. My sister Tamika. Yes, ma'am. We've already won. Oh, my goodness. I see you guys putting this declaration in here. That's what is happening. Hey, my mini mite sister over there. Mighty, mighty, mighty woman of God. Love you to life. Blowing you kisses today. Good to see you there. She's the mother of the young pastor, Nichols. Thank you guys so much for doing, and a mighty woman of God. Oh, my goodness. Thank you there. I call her mini mite, y'all. That's what I call it. We call each other those names, nicknames. We know who we are. My sister there, Teresia. Hey, sis. Got to see you today. Love you. I see you guys making this declaration. Y'all go ahead and take those selfies and post this somewhere. My sister Dina over there. Now is the time of favor. You better believe it, sister. You better believe it. See you guys coming on in here. If I miss somebody, you guys just charge it to my head, not to my heart on today. I am so caught up. I'm trying to let this settle down. See my preaching brother over there, Reverend Morris Brooks Jr., and yes, prophetess, pastor. Yes, Charmaine Perkins Brooks. We love you guys to life. Thank you guys so much for joining here. They're doing mighty things in God. You keep praying for them. And my cousin Gail Ozan. God bless you. I saw my sweetie somewhere earlier. Not sure if he hit back in, but that's my husband. Marvin Goodo, just love him to life. He's got a few moments before he heads into work, but my goodness, God is doing a great work there as well. So thank you guys for praying for us. We may have missed somebody, but again, going to my other platform, I hate to miss you guys, and thank you for joining me. Sorry for holding you. Well, I can't apologize for that. That's just who God is. And the internet, don't even worry about that thing. I'm telling you, God does what only God does. And so that's what he's doing right now. He is finding favor in us. And so you guys just stay with him. I'm going to let you out of here. Pray for us. Pray for our essential workers. Pray for our country. Pray for the Ukraine. I have brothers and sisters over there doing missionary work, and they are sending messages that they are doing well. But the people of God are requesting that the people in the United States keep praying. Please do not stop praying for our brothers and sisters. We're getting reports right now that missiles are flying over them and they disappear. They don't know where they're going. We're getting messages from them that the soldiers of the Russian army are getting confused and having to ask the Ukraine people for help and for food. We're getting reports right now that the engines, that all the tankers are running out of fuel and the people are needing their assistance. Now, they came to fight them, but God is turning that. You know, that's favor. Y'all keep praying for God's favor to fall on the people of the Ukraine, to touch the people of Russia, because they are under a rule for which they can do nothing about. But we know that God, in his infinite wisdom, can turn that thing. So pray for supporters for the Ukraine. Pray for infrastructure of Russia, that it is turned from within, and they are able to find the strength that they need to realize what's happening, and that there be a revolution there, and the evolution of God in who he is shows up in the nation of Russia, and to strengthen our Ukraine brothers and sisters and all that are fighting, all this backdrop with China and Japan. Pray like you have never prayed before. Pray for the United States of America. Don't forget COVID. It's still here. Don't forget to pray for those who are sick among us, that they would be healed. And don't forget to pray for yourself. Don't leave yourself out of the equation of favor, because God wants to do it for you. He wants to do it for me. Say, me too, right now. I'm favored. Me too. Don't forget to pray. Pray for our government, for our officials. Don't get so mad and so angry at the face that you see that you forget the God behind it that you cannot see, who is still in control. Pray. Because my Bible tells me that the heart of the king, that is the leader, the president, whoever he calls himself, CEO, or she calls herself, it's sitting in the Lord's hand, and he turns it like a stream, a mighty river, and he turns it whichever way he wants it to go. It's called favor. It's called favor. Pray, and then go back and pray again, and watch God do what we cannot do, because he steps in, he turns it to make a worthwhile difference. That's favor. Don't forget the God of all ages. And that's what we have. I see my sister Yolanda Punch on this side, just checking some more things here in these other platforms. Love you guys to life here. And again, we apologize for the internet, but we don't apologize for the word that went forth. You guys take care. I'm out. Y'all pray for me as I pray for you. Love you all to life. Take care.